So a common question that people ask is how do individuals afford houses or condos or any property in general when it's so expensive? Because I mean, to the average person, seeing a house listed for $1 million or $2 million, I mean that seems like such an astronomical amount of money. And I mean, nowhere in the southern Ontario area is that more pronounced than in Toronto, where older semi-detached or townhouses that are in a state of disrepair are selling for $1 million, 1.5, and sometimes even more depending on what it is. So I wanted to talk about that and sort of shed a little bit of light on that. So the way that people afford these houses more often than not is not by buying them with income and with dollars and cents. What happens is people that have owned properties for a long time, for example, somebody that bought a house back in the 80s or in the 90s, when prices were a lot lower than they are now, they've had the opportunity to build up equity in that property. Now, what equity is your net worth in that particular investment. So if your house is worth $1 million and you owe $200,000 on it, then you have $800,000 in equity. So in a lot of those cases, that's exactly how those people were able to buy that house in the first place. They bought their first home for, say, $150,000 in 1990, and then years later sold that for $500,000 when it appreciated, then bought a new property. And all the while that's been going on, they've been paying their mortgage every month. And as time goes on and on and on, you start to pay more and more of the principal off, when the principal is the amount that you owe and the interest obviously is the other portion. And with the interest rates where it is today, usually that's about half and half on each payment to begin with, but as you go on, more and more of that payment goes towards the principal. So eventually what you have is somebody that their first property was only purchased for maybe $150,000, and now they are 20 years, 15 years later, and they're living in a house that's worth $900,000, but they still only have a mortgage of maybe $200,000 or $300,000 on it. The rest is purchased with equity. So that's sort of the way that it works. Don't expect that you're always going to have to put in 10 or 20% down on whatever house you're buying and try to struggle to make ends meet. When you get into the real estate market, be smart about your mortgage, be smart about your investments. And once your net worth starts to grow, that owning that prototypical suburban family home with the 4 bedrooms, double garage is going to start to seem a lot more attainable. So that's my tip for today, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon.